Hi, friends. Welcome back to another Pick a Card Tarot reading. I'm JP, and this is Junodrome Tarot. Today, we're going to be doing a reading on messages from the tree spirits. I did one of these about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, um, and it was really nice. And recently, I had somebody stumble on that and leave a comment. And it reminded me that, I like doing these kinds of readings that are a little bit out there, talking to different entities and stuff like that that are obviously kind and not going to hurt us, right? So yeah, I think trees are pretty great, right? And they're our friends, they're there to be friends, especially the ones in urban environments. So, anyway, without further ado, in a moment I'm going to show you the piles to choose from. There's 4 different piles, so choose the one that resonates with you the most, and I'll see you in your reading. Down below in the description section of this video, you will see the different chapters. Feel free to pick on the one that corresponds with the pile that resonates with you. So, without further ado, I'm going to show you the piles, and then I will see you in your reading. Catch you later. Hi, friends. Welcome to this Pick a Card Tarot reading. You chose pile number 1 with the ginkgo tree. This is messages from the tree spirits. So, what is the ginkgo tree I want to talk to you about? So, ginkgo is great. Some fascinating things about this tree species. One thing is it is one of the oldest tree species that exists. It's an ancient tree, and it's the last of its kind that evolved millions of years ago. And so it's a very ancient tree. And for the longest time, before people, well, before Westerners, put it that way, realized that it was a remaining tree species, that we only saw trees like this in the fossil record. And then it was discovered that in either, I think, in China or somewhere in Asia, these Buddhist monks had been cultivating this tree species for hundreds and hundreds of years, maybe even thousands of years, right? And so, like, this amazing ancient tree species has continued to exist, and now it's everywhere. It's one of my favorite trees. It's in many many urban places because it's a very resilient tree. So with climate change, it can deal with chemicals and all sorts of different things going on. So anyway, ginkgo. Ooh, and the quote on the back says, "Stay wild at heart." So one other thing about the ginkgo tree too is that it's very good. Ginkgo is very good for the mind and for clarity of mind, for focusing. If you take ginkgo as an herbal supplement, I do sometimes myself, and it is really, really wonderful for that. So we're gonna set that here for now. Maybe I'll put it up here. And we're going to look at the rest of our cards. So we've got a bunch of tarot cards today from a couple different decks and some oracle cards. And we're going to start from one card from the Fairy Tale Lenormand. I haven't pulled from this deck in a long time, but I felt drawn to it. So what do the tree spirits want to tell you? Pile number 1, and we have a ship. Okay, so the quote on the back was "Stay wild at heart." And we have a ship here, which can indicate traveling, right? And if what's interesting though is it's also this is the ginkgo tree, like I was talking about, and this ship is Chinese, right? It's uh, I believe it's a Chinese dragon. Um, so that's kind of an interesting coincidence there. So definitely some um, potentially, yeah, I'm definitely getting travel for you potentially, being on the move. One thing that's interesting about trees, right, is that they don't move around, right? They're planted and they live their lives in one spot. And I think that that's kind of what the trees really want to talk to you about. This is really fun. Oh, this is great. Yeah, this is messages from the trees. I love it when this kind of thing happens. They want to I've gotten this message from trees before tuning in, so this is just really funny. But they the one thing they really admire and marvel at about human beings is that we can go anywhere, right? That we have this mobility to move globally. We can go anywhere, and we've taken trees and put them in different locations, like I was saying. So the ginkgo tree has moved from its small saved location in China, and now it's global. But each individual ginkgo tree will only ever see the location that it was planted in, unless it's a bonsai or something and taken around. But regardless of that, what the tree spirits want to talk about is that, you have this incredible gift of mobility. Um, and as people, it's really easy to not look at the marvelous and amazing things that are mundane in our lives, right? The everyday things that we take for granted as people, just based on, your life. You don't really think about the fact that you have two legs, or, if you don't have legs, you still have the ability to move out of one location, whereas the trees, they're only going to ever live in one spot. And so, the tree is really coming in to talk to you about that gift of mobility, right? And that you have the ability to travel to anywhere you want to go. And you might feel locked or trapped in one spot right now, maybe potentially pal number one. Um, but the trees are coming in to say no, like expand your horizons. Or maybe you're afraid to leave a certain location, or you're afraid to move around, or you're just not thinking about the fact that you have the choice to move out of a situation. And this could be deeply metaphorical as well, that you have the ability to move out of any situation that you're in, right? And that just because things happen to be in one place, in one spot, in one thing at this particular moment in time for you, that doesn't mean that those things can't change, or that you don't have the ability to move. Think about a tree. Like, if a tree is planted in a location that isn't favorable for life, the tree doesn't have many options in its own individual life, right? And trees have evolved in such a way that, pollination can move in different locations, and now they work together with humans in a certain sense too, whereas they can move in different places. But that's a multi-generational thing, right? And we have similar kinds of patterns in humanity. We have the multi-generational ancestral movements of people. And so that's one way that we can help change and heal and move intergenerationally. But each individual has far more ability to move and to change and to become something different. And I think that this tree spirit and the tree spirits in general, and particularly the ginkgo, is coming in to really talk about that and to highlight that idea that you know that this is a beautiful gift that human beings have as individuals, and that we have this individuality that certain other species, particularly plants in general, but many animals too, that that kind of individual ability to move and change and adapt in one lifetime, as opposed to only through intergenerational movement, through evolution and that kind of thing. Like, that we have that's an incredible gift that you have that ability. And if you feel stuck, or if you feel like you don't have that power, the trees are coming in to let you know that, hey, like, think about it from a tree's perspective for a second. Like, you have far more ability to adapt and to grow and to change and to become something new and something different than a tree may have, and that's a gift. That's a gift to think about, just to think about that perspective of it. So now we've got a bunch of tarot. I'll do this one first. There's 4 cards, so maybe we'll do 2 at a time, and I'm going to choose these 2 first. So we have 4 cards from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. This is technically called the Smith-Waite deck. And we have the Queen of Swords, and we have the Judgment. Yeah, okay. I do feel we're getting into, like I was saying, there is a bit of travel energy, but I do think it's a movement from the metaphorical and spiritual sense, that that not only do you have the ability to change your environment, but you have the ability to change your inner environment too. And I think that you're in a period right now where you have an opportunity, whether you see it or not, you have an opportunity to really work on leaving certain situations. The Queen of Swords can be the one of the greatest um, cards indicating leaving situations and people in particular, cutting cords, cutting away the things that really don't work for you anymore. And maybe even the places and the locations, because this tree energy is really, really connecting into that idea of mobility, right? That like maybe your physical environment is not the most adaptable to you, as an individual. And that, even though you might feel like you're planted in a certain location, um, that doesn't mean that you can't move. Like you have the ability to move somewhere else. And that, it's a lot of times I'm getting this feeling from this reading too. I'm just kind of channeling. We get really familiar, like things that are familiar, we tend to stick to because we know what they are. And it's just a part of it's part of the built-in subconscious safety mechanisms that we've evolved as human beings, right? The things that we know what to expect. We're pattern-seeking beings, and so when it's a pattern that we recognize, we tend to stick to it because we know what it is, and so we tend to not jump to the things that we don't know because they're unfamiliar and there might be danger there. And it's a subconscious thing. We might not want to admit it to ourselves sometimes on the conscious level that, we have this fear, but it's there to protect us, right? Like, oh, well, I know what this is like, so I know that it's going to be okay. I know it's going to be safe. But a lot of times though, just because something's familiar, that doesn't mean that it's good for you. Just because you know something to be what it is, that doesn't mean that there's not something that's better for you as an individual, you personally out there. And so this reading is really, really, really coming in, and the trees are coming in to let you know, like, you can move into anything else, and that there may very well be something much, much brighter for you, much more adapted to you as a person, as an individual. This reading is very, very tuned into the individual person, you as an individual, that you have the ability as an individual to move into something completely different if you choose to. And there might be something that's better for you off on the horizon in some different place. And that could be a different place in the mind, right? A different spiritual place, but it very well could be a different location as well. You might consider moving and traveling more and getting out more and just like getting out of your routines more. Maybe you're stuck in a routine and you don't even realize it, and it's really easy to get stuck in, especially like, as somebody who has to work multiple jobs and lives in a really expensive city and has to do all these things. I totally get, like, practical everyday life is hard, and we have to move in these practical terms sometimes in life, but just because that's the way you figured out how to live doesn't mean that it's the best way for you as a person, and that doesn't mean that there's actually something else that would be even more optimal for you. And it can be really scary sometimes to jump at different opportunities and things, and so you can take your time at this too. And with the judgment here, the judgment's all about reflection, and so I do feel like there's an optimal period of reflecting about your life right now that's opening up to you, and so be here and be present for this, because it's really this opportunity to really take stock at maybe the last few years even. I know that's what I'm going through personally, and I think that I'm connecting with that as well, that I think that's a larger trend that a lot of us are going through, that there's an opportunity right now to really open up to all the different things that you've been through, and all the different phases of your life that you've been, whether it's multiple years or even just the last year or whatever. I know the pandemic has had a lot of self-reflection, but this is bigger than that. This is like coming home to really tying up these loose ends and stuff. And so I feel like for you in particular, when we're connecting in with the tree spirits here, it's this idea that just because you need to have these practical life stuff, right? And I'm not telling you to just throw it all away and jump, because that's not always practical and that's not really possible and that's not something I feel comfortable with personally, like there's something nice about stability, uh, and that rooted feeling, feeling rooted. But you can move into something else though too, and it might take time, but if you start building it into your life now, um, it can come in quicker, right? Instead of just thinking about it, like start coming up with plans, coming up with ideas, thinking like, okay, well, if I wanted to move, even where would I even want to move to? Start thinking about it. Like, okay, well, I don't actually know where I want to move. If I want to move, maybe I'll just go explore some cities. Okay, so I need to find a way to plan for a little mini weekend vacation to X place. Okay, what kind of money do I need for that? What do I need to save for that? Do I need to request that off work? Do I need to do whatever? This is for you in your own life. I don't want to get too specific, because it might not even be like moving physical locations. Like I said, this could be metaphorical as well. Like, okay, I just like really, really, really have been dreaming about getting a career doing X, Y, and Z. And you know what? I'm ready to just like figure out how that's even possible. Like, okay, well, let me do like just an inquiry interview or whatever they call that with somebody. So I'm going to do some research online and find somebody who's doing that and just kind of send them an email and be like, hey, what do you feel about blah, 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 blah? Like, can I pick your brain? Can I do an interview with you just to pick your brain about the career that you have and what you think about it? Just like things like that, where it's like, you don't have to do this all right away, but there's this opportunity to start building into your life, a life that's more what you actually want and less the things you think you have to do, in order to get through life, right? I mean, and we all have to do the practical everyday things that we have to do. Like I said, I work 2 jobs and I make videos and I do all this art stuff and I'm always all over the place, But I'm also researching my ADD and taking vitamins more. And anyway, I don't want to talk too much about myself, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, just because these patterns have existed doesn't mean that I have to stay in them. And it also means that, if I'm actively working on moving through into something different, I'm giving myself that ability to move into it. And like, like I said, it might not be an overnight transition, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be. You can take the time that you need to move into whatever, because it's like that's how time works sometimes too. It's like that weird slow but fast movement, where all of a sudden it's been a year, but also at the same time it feels like every minute is an eon. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. Let's look at the other 2 cards here. Ooh, yeah. Okay, 9 of Pentacles and the 9 of Cups. Ooh, that's fun. There's 2 9s. 9 9. Okay, wow. And there's a 3 there, so that's 3 is divisible by 9. Excuse me. So, and Judgment is 20. That's different. Two tens different. But there's 2 10s and the Roman numeral. And anyway. This is getting back to where I was talking about before I kind of went on that huge tangent. The tree spirits are coming back in because that's who we want to talk to here, to really connect you into this idea that you can leave life situations that aren't working for you, right? And in fact, there's this huge opportunity here with both of these 2 cards. One thing that they're both these like kind of pentultimate, because it's the 9, it's right before the end. So 9s are talk about endings, right? And then 0 would be the new beginning. So it's like you're at the end of a cycle. You're definitely at the end of this phase here. And that's Judgment comes in at the very end as well. To right before you get the World, which is that graduation card. It's like right before the end, there is this period of reflection where you are closing out the cycle, you're dotting the I's, crossing the T's. So, this kind of stuff that I've been talking about, you've probably been doing this for a while now, and this is just the final stages of that. But with these 2 cards, the biggest thing about them, right, is like you have ultimate, like physical fulfillment here, like abundance, being in this like beautiful, wonderful abundance that brings in this stability and happiness. So you do have that option available, as you build into whatever this dream of yours is, space, location, whatever. There's a favorability that it's going to be um, more financially or physically stable once you get into it, because you're going to be happy about it. And it's not going to be the kind of thing that drains you. It's not going to be the kind of thing that is unsustainable. This feels like very sustainable things that you're building into your life. But then you also have this ultimate happiness card, the satisfaction, right? The Nine of Cups is very satisfied. He's very comfortable. He's very happy and content. And he's built that over time. And so with these two cards together, though, what you notice about both of these cards is they're both alone, right? And it's the kind of aloneness that is not the lonely alone. It's the kind of aloneness where you aren't taking on the expectations and the needs of the outside world anymore, and you're focusing on yourself in a way that isn't necessarily selfish, although, like I said, I didn't say it, but this card can get interpreted as selfish sometimes, but I'd never like to interpret it that way, because I think that it's so easy for us to shut ourselves down by saying, oh, I'm being too selfish. At least for me. I know some of us, though, are takers and will take, but I tend to find that I don't know. I don't feel like that always resonates with me in these particular readings, and take it as it resonates for you. But I feel like a lot of times we will, if you're a sensitive kind of person like me and somebody who really likes to help other people and just like to help the world in general, we tend to give, and we tend to overgive a lot of times. And sometimes we can bring in people into our lives who, like I said, those kind of take experience, and it can be this sort of codependent nature, right, where they're both kind of two sides of the same coin. The people who give and never receive, and the people who take and never give. They're both kind of co-dependent on one another, right? Like they're both kind of in the same pattern. They're just on the two sides of the same pattern. Whereas, this particular energy is the kind of person who says, okay, I don't want to deal with that kind of thing anymore. So whether or not you're on either side of it, you start to take yourself out and start focusing on yourself. Like I said, not in a selfish way where you're taking from other people. It's like you're building for yourself and, allowing yourself to build in that sense of contentment on your own. And that builds you into this very strong, stable, individual kind of person where you don't need other people as much to fulfill those needs because you fulfill them yourself. And so then when you bring in people into your life from that perspective, you're never going to be desperate enough for attention or for people to fill those voids that you're going to let in somebody who's not so great for you, right? You're going to be able to have better boundaries with other people because, you're not as like you don't need anything from them, right? And so then if it starts to be a dangerous relationship, it's much easier to be like, okay, I can't, this isn't going to work for me, which is that Queen of Swords energy where it's like, you can love somebody, and you can love all people and all sentient beings. That's how I am. I have a deep, deep, deep love and respect for all life because I know that we're all one being, we're all one thing, we're all the same, we're all together in this infinite togetherness. But at the same time, I also recognize that there are certain people out there who don't feel that way inside and have a deep inner void that they need filled. And there's a desperation there that they will take whatever they need to get that, right? And so those kinds of people I just personally can't be around as much anymore, because I have a hard time keeping strong boundaries with those kinds of people, and I recognize that as my own personal pattern. So for those kinds of individuals, I have to walk away. But I still love them, right? There's so many people in my life that I deeply love, or former people from my life that I deeply, deeply love and respect and find to be wonderful people on a human level. But I just can't be around them because I just can't, and that's a me thing, So, but anyway, like if there are people like that in your life that you need to walk away from, that's okay, that's okay. And I know it's hard, and I know it's, you feel like a jerk, when you do that sometimes, especially if you're a deeply empathetic person, because, you don't want to judge somebody. I totally get that. But at the same time, not everybody's going to be giving you that same benefit of the doubt. And some people will take advantage of you for having that opinion, and that's really crappy to say, but a lot of people are like that. So just, I feel that you're going to be in this position to have stronger boundaries, and I think that's what the trees want you to know. I've kind of lost the trees. Trees, come back, trees. We're going to bring the trees back into the reading here, by tapping into the Herbal Tarot, so another plant-based energy tarot deck. So let's see what the Herbal Tarot has to say. We've got the Sun. Ooh. And we've got the Knight of Pentacles, and we've got the Magician. Holy moly, this is some power energy here. So the trees are coming back in to let you know that if you embrace this movement that's coming in for you, if you embrace the change that wants to come into your life, if you embrace the new beginning that is definitely present within you, and you take the ability to change and manifest in your life your dreams, that you can have these powerful visions of what you'd like for your life with this Magician card, and you can bring them into the physical world. If you're willing to do that work and hold steadfast to that vision, to that beautiful thing that you are trying to bring in here, the life that you'd like to live, you're going to be able to bring it in. And it might take time, with the Knight of Pentacles, the Knights can move slowly. The Knight of Pentacles in particular doesn't move all that fast, right? But that's okay, right? The Knight of Pentacles is all about taking the time to physically build it out in your life. So like I was saying, if you need to be slow about these transitions, be slow. If you need time to even just think about it and process it, and then start to, like I said, take those small, little, tiny practical steps where it's like, you don't have to quit your job tomorrow. Keep your job. I'm not telling you to quit, but maybe start doing the research about what it physically is like to have this position. What is the kind of work that you'd have to do? What kind of portfolio do you have to build? What kind of resume do you need to build for yourself? Do you need extra volunteer experience? Maybe you want to take a class doing something, any of that kind of thing. Or if, like I said, it's travel, like, okay, well, I want to move. I actually don't know what city I want to move to. Let me try to take little small trips. Let me save up so I can do some flights. Maybe I can take a bus to some other place. Maybe it's a city that's not far away and I can drive there, or I can, like I said, public transportation. I can take a train, whatever, like however this resonates. Be open to the change. Commit yourself to the life that you want to live. And then if you're committed to it, let it take time. If it needs to take a while, that's okay, because what matters is that you're holding it in your hands and you're keeping it in your heart, and you're following from your heart where you'd like to go. And the more that you do that kind of work, the more easier it will be to move in that direction and actually make it happen. And with the Sun here, it's like there's beautiful favorability in that too, because it's also important to remember that it's not just about the destination, it's also about the journey, right? So the more that you work on this, the more you're building that happiness into your life, and the more satisfying it'll be, A, when you get there, but B, like I said, it's about that journey. So it's like there's a journey ahead of you. There's travel ahead of you. There's movement. Like the trees were saying at the very opening of this beginning of this reading, that there's this mobility that you have. You have the ability to move. So if your life feels trapped and planted in one spot, your life doesn't have to be that one thing. And if you don't like your life, you can change your life. And it might take time, it might take energy, it might seem daunting and overwhelming at the moment, but if you're willing to put in the work and the time to move, you can move anywhere. And that is a deeply important message that the trees want to remind you, that you are not trapped to one place like a tree. You can move in any direction that you choose. And forgiveness is the final card. Okay, so that's from the Shamanic Healing Oracle. And forgiveness is, that can be hard. And maybe that's one thing that's keeping you back as you do this reflection work. I'm also working through this myself. Sometimes people hurt you, and sometimes, people can do terrible things. But it's important to remember that the act of forgiveness isn't condoning the actions that other people have taken. It's not saying that what they did was okay. And it's not saying that you're going to let that person back into your life, but it's giving yourself a gift. Forgiveness is allowing yourself to heal. Forgiveness is a gift that you give yourself. It has nothing to do with that person that you're forgiving. It has everything to do with yourself, because you're holding on to that pain inside of you, and you holding on to that pain is doing nothing to that other person. That other person is off living their life, and whether or not they feel guilty about it, whatever, it's important to remember karma works. People build up karma. Karma isn't negative or positive, it just is, and the actions that we take have repercussions in our life cosmically, whether you want to believe in just one life or multiple lives. I think that, it's important to remember that, like, the universe will take care of that. You don't have to think about anything like that. You don't have to wish ill on anyone. You don't have to think about that. Like, if somebody did something really bad in your life, that is on them, and that is not on you. What is on you is the choice to heal and the choice to move out of it, and that you don't have to keep holding on to those things that, the things that other people have done to you. You don't have to be beholden to the victim, right? Like, you may have been victimized in your life, but that does not need to make you into a victim. That you can take back your own personal power. And one way you can do that is by forgiving someone else, by letting go, by saying, this thing, I am not going to hold on to this anymore. I know what you did hurt me tremendously, but I'm letting go of this, and I'm forgiving you because I'm also forgiving myself for getting into the situation in the first place. I'm forgiving myself for, not being able to see that this was going to happen to me, and I'm releasing this. I'm releasing you from my life. I'm releasing all of this, and I'm open to having a beautiful, happy life now, because that's what I would like, because it's my life that I'm living, and I don't need to beholden to the actions of someone outside of me. That I have the ability to take back my own power and move in any direction I want. So with that forgiveness energy here, that, like I said, that might be something that's keeping you feeling stuck, but you don't have to keep on to that, And as you cut other people out of your life, like, you can cut somebody out of your life and forgive them at the same time. That's definitely possible. And, you don't have to you don't have to feel like you are holding on to a grudge to anybody that's leaving your life. You can just release them with love and say, thank you so much for being a part of my life. I cannot have you here anymore. And I have the ability and the freedom to move into something different. And I'm going to choose that freedom for myself, because I'm living my own life for me. And that's what I need to do for myself, because I love myself, and I would like to grow, and I would like to change, and I would like to move, and I would like to adapt and become something different and someone different. And I allow myself to do that. That can be really deep, powerful work. It's things I've had to tell myself that I'm deeply grateful for. And readings like this have helped me a lot, so hopefully that can help you too. Anyway, that was my messages from the trees for you. So I hope that you liked it. Feel free to let me know in the comments what you think either way. I'd love hearing from everybody. Huge thanks to all the subscribers. We're getting pretty close to 1,000, so that'll be really exciting when we get there. I'm going to do 2 free giveaways, 2 free readings, and I might send a postcard to somebody, maybe a little stone gift or something, a crystal or something. So, if you haven't subscribed, please do. It really helps out the channel. Check out the website, www.junodrome.com. If you would like a private reading with me, we can get super in-depth about stuff. So feel free to book me if you want. And anyway, tell your friends. You can book a holiday reading for me as well. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do some holiday gift cards for readings. So that would actually be fun. Keep an eye on the channel. We might be doing some kind of gift card giveaway mailer things. So yeah, anyway, thank you so much. Pile number 1. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you later. Hi there, pile number 2. Welcome to your reading. So you chose the pile with this really cute tree here. This is your reading from the tree spirits. What do the tree spirits need to tell you? What are the trees trying to say to you? What can we get for tree messages? For pile number 2, you chose the pile with this deciduous tree We don't know if it's a pine or a spruce or a fir. Who knows? But it's really, really pretty looking card. And there's a quote on the back that I'm going to read for you that will help get us in the mood for the tree spirit's messages, and then we'll get into the cards here. It says, "Nothing is more beautiful than the loveliness of the woods before sunrise," which is a George Washington Carver quote. And you see, look at all of these beautiful trees coming in. So this is really sort of, the beauty of the morning as well. We've got this like sunrise kind of an understanding. So maybe you have a new beginning coming in, pile number 2, and the tree spirits might be coming to help usher in with you this beautiful new beginning for you. So let's take a look and see what the cards have to say. We're starting off. I've got a bunch of tarot cards and some oracle cards, but we're starting out here with the Fairy Tale Lenormand. I haven't used this deck in a long time on the channel, but it's one of my old favorites. So we're bringing it in for the tree messages, and it's pile number 2. You have the tree. Look at that. So you chose the pile with the solo tree, and you also have the tree. This is beautiful. The tree is all about growth, and look at, I don't know if you can see from all the way over there. Hopefully you can kind of see it here. There's a little face in the tree up here. No, never noticed that. So this really is the embodiment of the tree spirits here, really coming into contact with you. And I'm just seeing this incredible growth, right? And that's kind of what the trees really want to talk about today for you is this incredible growth that you've gone through. Like I was saying, I do feel a bit of this new beginning energy coming in for you, but it's not like it's coming from nowhere and nothing. It's like springtime, right? And I know that we're entering into winter, but think about spring. Spring is a beginning of sorts. It's the beginning of life after the winter. But a tree in bloom in springtime, it's not the very first time it's ever bloomed. And I'm getting that sense for you that this new beginning coming in, it's like it's important not to think that you are only at the beginning of something, but you've been on this big giant journey for a long time, and you're starting to see the rewards of this growth coming in. It's like the work that you've been putting in, the things that you've been doing, it really does mean something. And maybe you've been in a situation in a cycle, this could be the very end of a cycle and we're ushering in the beginning of a new one. And it's possible that this cycle has been very long for you and has felt almost as if, that you haven't seen the results here, or you just don't know whether or not you've gone as far as you feel that you should have in that period, or you wish that you would, and all of that. But this reading is really kind of coming in, and the trees are coming in to remind you that actually you've put in an entire amount of growth here, and you think about a tree as it grows, they grow so slowly, right? Trees do move. As much as they are only in one place, they grow tall and they grow thicker and they grow bigger, and it's a slow moving process. But like all plants, they actually move with the sun. It's just that we move so fast in our day to day that we don't really see how quickly their movement is coming. We don't really. It's like if you show a time lapse of a plant, you watch how fast it moves, and it moves where the sun is moving. It moves with the sun. It changes the shape of its leaves, and all of this stuff. So plants are moving. They're moving through the world, just as we are, but we don't necessarily see that growth. And I feel that that's a good analogy for you and your journey, and that maybe it hasn't felt exactly like you've gone anywhere. You don't feel in this particular moment that maybe that you've grown as much as maybe that you actually have, and maybe there's an opportunity right now coming to you, and the trees are coming in to talk to you and remind you that actually you have this incredible amount of growth within you, and even if in this one little moment you're not noticing it, if you were to take a look back and see where you've come from, to see how small you once were and how large you've actually grown. You've moved a massive, massive amount, and you should be proud of that. The trees are coming in to let you know, like, this is something to be proud of, that you've grown so much, and you've planted roots down as well. With this tree, it's like not only is the tree grown upwards, but it's planted deep into the ground. And so, maybe that's another thing too, is like you've been doing this grounding work potentially. You've been setting yourself into the ground. You've been taking care of all of the subconscious things. You've been clearing out all of the things in life that needed to be cleared, and you've been solidifying all of these problems that have kept you back. And so, maybe you haven't taken huge giant physical movement forward in certain directions, but you've been doing this undercover work. You've been doing all of the things underground that nobody has seen, that really mean something, so that you can spring forward now, having created this deep, beautiful, strong foundation from which to move. And in fact, maybe you wouldn't have been able to grow as tall and as big as you are going to now, having not first gone deep into the earth. And there's this sense of digging in deep down in order to build yourself taller. So next up, we have 3 cards from the Smith-Waite deck. This is my favorite version of the classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck. We have the 6 of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Pentacles. Oh, that's fun. And we have the Fool. Okay, I like this energy a lot for you, pile number 2. So the Fool coming in, classic, that is the card of the new beginning, right? It's the very first card in the entire tarot deck. And so, with the Fool coming in and the Ace of Pentacles, aces are all about new starts as well. So there's huge new beginnings energy coming in. I love it when I kind of channel in these messages at the same time as, and then they get reinforced. It's pretty incredible. It just constantly reminds me that this stuff is real, that tarot is a very real thing. Channeling is a very real thing. Sometimes it's easy to forget that, but it's there. So anyway, with the Fool, it's like, this is this beautiful, wonderful new opportunity for you. You look at this little flower that he's holding here, and it's this sort of carefree nature. You're free to move now, in a way that maybe you haven't been able to before. And it's come from setting yourself up in this balanced sort of way. You've learned how to balance yourself with the 6 of Pentacles here. You've learned how to set your footing on the right path. You've learned how to stabilize yourself. You've learned how to in difficult situations. One thing the tree is also, you think about one thing in meditation, particularly Thich Nhat Hanh, who is a powerful meditator and Buddhist monk from Vietnam, who during the 60s, did these incredible, brave protests through Vietnam, and just like all of this, a very incredible person, very inspiring. But one thing in one of his books that he talks about is this idea of being like the tree in the middle of a storm. When you're going through these emotional storms, imagining yourself as the tree. So it's like the tree is firmly planted in the ground. It has its roots deep in the ground so that it can withstand any storm that blows through. And so as these deep emotional and anxiety-ridden and difficult situations and crazy things from the outside blow through, the tree is able to stand firm in itself, and it's able to stay upright because it's planted itself down, and it's got this strong sense of stability. And I feel that that's kind of, you've learned how to have that balance for yourself. You've learned how to make those things possible, and because of that, now you're able to move forward in a way that you wouldn't have been able to had you not done that work. And there's a deep recognition coming in. I know we're trying to talk to the tree spirit specifically, and we're doing so many tree messages here, but it's like
this is a larger message too, just about you and your spiritual journey and where you are. You've really put in that work, and you're seeing the results because of it. Now you're able to move forward in a way that you wouldn't have been able to. And so like really that recognition in that for you is so huge here. And with this new beginning in the pentacles are all about the material world, and they can be about money, but they can also just be about your physical landscape, um, where you live, what your health is like, um, how your physical world looks to you, and how you decide to move through it. You're at a new beginning in that now as well. That's opening up for you. It's this opportunity to have a new way of looking at life, to having a new way of moving through the world, to building a new world for yourself, a physical world. Maybe moving, maybe anything like that. That you have the opportunity to really do that now because you're really solid in so many parts of yourself in a way that maybe in the past you weren't. So let's look now at 4 cards from the Herbal Tarot. It's another Rider-Waite-Smith variant, kind of, but some of the cards are a little different. But it's plant-based, so it's kind of perfect for our reading today. I'm gonna move maybe over here. We'll move these back in a minute. We've got the 7 of Swords. We've got the Ace of Cups, another new beginning. We've got the 10 of Cups. Oh, pile number 2. I love this for you. This is so beautiful. And we have the Page of Pentacles, another new starts, basically. So you have the Page of Pentacles, which is very similar to the Ace of Pentacles. That's funny. They ended up next to each other. That's perfect. Pages are all about being at the first stages of something. They're being the student of something. So, like I was saying, I think that you've done all of this inner work, and so now you're at the early stages of recreating or creating even your physical world to reflect it. So I do think you've put in an incredible amount of work and growth inward. And maybe that's what this past cycle was. It was you learning how to solidify your inner world in a way that was able to fully grow into a stable, happy person. And so now you're able to build the physical world in such a way that that makes sense to you, that works for you, that brings you closer to where you want to be because you put in that work on the outside. Um, and as you build this new world for yourself, it's also a new beginning, like I said, with this Ace of Cups in the emotional sphere, in the emotional body, in your your beauty, your sense of love, your sense of kindness, your sense of fulfillment, of self-fulfillment. You're going to start to be feeling happy again, in maybe a way that maybe you haven't been quite so happy. Maybe it's been such a long time since you felt a sense of total and complete happiness in all aspects of life. But sometimes, it's hard to have that in literally everything, but I do feel this opening up, this ultimate happiness is opening up to you, especially with the 10 of Cups here. 10 of Cups is the fulfillment card. It is the ultimate happiness. It is ultimate emotional fulfillment, and you have that open to you. And with the 7 of Swords, that's a very fast moving energy, right? And I'm getting horns outside for confirmation. So what that means is this is all coming in very quick now because you put in all that work. This isn't going to be something that's going to take forever, and like I said, you might be at a new beginning of this, but the more that you open yourself to allow this new energy in, the more that you open yourself as much as possible to this new beginning, the quicker it's going to be here. It's coming in like with such swift moving energy that it's so open to this beautiful new dawning of a new day. What did this quote say? Nothing is more beautiful than the loveliness of the woods before sunrise. So you before sunrise, you're right at dawn right now. You're just about there, and the twinkling light is starting to appear, and you're starting to feel that you're in the dawning of this new day. And so be at this sunrise moment for yourself. Allow yourself to feel that, and that's what the trees want you to know in this reading. They want to open you up to that beautiful sunrise of a new day that's here for you. And Your final card comes from the Shamanic Healing Oracle, and it is transformation. Wow. Yes. So that's the thing, you know. You look at this. This is a chrysalis, right? A chrysalis is when the caterpillar goes into the shell. It's called a chrysalis, and it's gestating. And I think that's the period that you've been in. You've been in this chrysalis for such a long time now that maybe you've forgotten what it was like. You know, you forgot that you were going to be moving out of it. You know, you forgot what it was like to be the caterpillar. You've forgotten. You've just totally, and this is good to totally embrace where you are in this present moment. But you're about to hatch out of this chrysalis and turn into this beautiful, beautiful butterfly. You know, it's all ready. You're ready to break forward, and I think that's exactly the moment that you're in right now. Is this beautiful bursting forward moment. So be present for yourself as this is happening. This is here for you. Be open to it. And you know, look at like the chrysalis happens like on this tree branch. It's supported by the trees. So the trees are supporting your journey. They're supporting your personal transformation. They're supporting where you've been and where you're going. And you know, they're here. So be open to talking and communicating with tree spirits too. It's something I do sometimes. It's really wonderful. You know, going out into preferably somewhere public, like a park or you know, city streets, finding trees that are comfortable around people. Surprisingly enough, going deep into the woods, it's not that they'd be mean trees. It's just that they're less understanding of human energy. So just for a minute, you don't have to get too woo into it if you don't want to, obviously. But if you want to, trees are pretty great to hang out with. Just saying. So anyway, pile number 2, I'm going to leave you there. That was my reading for you. I hope that it resonates. Let me know in the comments what you think either way. I love hearing from everybody. Huge thanks to all the recent subscribers. I've been a little bit on a hiatus for a few weeks. I just had a lot of inner work I had to do. And I'm really glad I did because, man, it's crazy just how talk about personal transformations. This may have been for me. I don't know. You know, sometimes all of these readings are also for me. But anyway, so I'm back. I'm going to be trying to post these as regularly as possible. Thank you so much for tuning in. Check back in for more content. There's going to be a lot more. If you want a private reading with me, they are available on the website. You can find that at junodrome.com, as well as links to some of my music stuff. Eventually, I'm going to have all my art stuff up there too. So it's going to be a big Junodrome. The larger Junodrome is my larger arts project, is what it's going to be. But there is a tarot component to that. So thank you so much for tuning into that. And pile number 2, I will see you later. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will catch you later. See ya. Bye. Hi there, pile number 3. Welcome to your reading. So this is going to be your reading for messages from the tree spirits. What do the trees and the tree beings and the spirits of the trees need to tell you today? And these may end up being more where you are in this moment, spiritual messages from the universe too, simply because that's what the other piles turned into. So, you know, we'll see what this has to say. But with the particular tree card that you chose here is this one card with, and it's kind of sticky, like tree sap. That's interesting. Hopefully that's what that is. Oh, gosh. But we have like these tree spirits here, or they're in the jar, right? It's like this terrarium. So maybe it's sort of like you have a message of, you know, this sort of message in a bottle, you know, that this is sort of a sealed, self-contained ecosystem. So maybe this is something about your own personal life as its own self-contained ecosystem, and the trees are coming in here to reach your personal ecosystem or something. I don't know. Let's take a look. So the quote on the back of this is, "All things grow with love," which is so beautiful, and that's so true. You know, that love is such an integral part of life. That you know, personally, I think that all things are made of love. That love is the connection point of all of all that exists. I firmly believe that. Um, so anyway, let's take a look at your cards. We've got a bunch of tarot cards, but we're going to start with this one card from the Fairy Tale Lenormand. And you have the fox. Okay, so there's something about being really cunning here, and the fox here is in this forested area. So definitely the tree spirits are coming in with this fox energy to bring this message of that you're maybe smarter than you give yourself credit for in a certain sense, or that you have a certain sense of cunning about you that is deeply important, right? And maybe there's certain the fox spirit as a spirit symbol, spiritual symbol, can signify not just being cunning, but sometimes being sort of sly in a sometimes disingenuous way. So maybe there's potentially parts of yourself that maybe you don't want to take a look at that are there, that are and not to put yourself down at all, but maybe that's why you don't want to look at them, because you feel like it's something that isn't good, But like I said, that part of you, that sly part of you, might actually be a deeply beneficial and real part of yourself that maybe needs to be integrated. So there's a little bit of shadow work I'm feeling coming in for this reading, pile number 3. With this bottle, right? That's the tree spirits here. It's like this. What is stuck within you that needs to be released? What items within you are you bottling up? Parts about yourself that you don't want to face. That's kind of what shadow. Our shadow side. I guess this is going to be a shadow work reading in a certain sense, just because I'm talking about it right now. But our shadow is the parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at. It doesn't mean that they're bad or good. They're just there. They're the parts of ourselves that, for whatever reason, subconsciously we don't want to take a look at those parts of ourselves. Something about it feels threatening to us on a subconscious level, and so we tend to not look at these sorts of things. And with this sly fox, it's almost like maybe these are parts of yourself that you're afraid of that are actually have the ability to increase your own growth in a certain sense, that there are wonderful parts of you that maybe for whatever reason, the way that you grew up, or the society that you've grown up in, the family unit that you are a part of, has made you think that these parts of yourself are things to be ashamed of, or to fear, or to run away from. But in reality, they're these beautiful, cunning, smart parts of you that maybe, uh, are in shadow for whatever reason. And so let's take a look at the tarot cards here to kind of get a better gauge of what we're talking about. First up, I have 4 cards from the Smith-Waite deck. This one is my favorite of the Rider-Waite-Smith decks. Okay. Yep. 10 of Swords. Wow. Oh, yeah, there it is. The 7 of Swords, which is very much connecting in with this fox energy. This is very much what this reading is about. The 2 of Swords. Wow, so much swords energy, pile number 3. This is an intense reading. Okay, and the 2 of Wands, which is a nice way to round it out. Wow. So I do think that you've been through quite a bit. With the 10 of Swords, it can talk about really, really going through it in a way where you feel dead in a certain sense. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean I don't mean to laugh at this, obviously. If you're really feeling down, and you feel like you've been through difficult, horrible situations in life, I can empathize with that. I want to let you know I've been through some very, very difficult parts of my own life. Not that this is the same, obviously, but I just want you to know that these difficult situations are things that people go through, and they can be quite dire. The thing about the 10 of Swords, which is interesting, is that when you're going through these kinds of things, when you're in the middle of it, it can feel there's almost this sort of echo effect, right, or cacophony effect, where it's like the sound exponentially grows around you, and so when you're in it, it feels exponentially worse than maybe it actually is, because like if you think about the swords here, it can be kind of a dramatic card sometimes, because it's like Yeah, probably one of those swords would have done the job. Like, does he really need to have 10 of them sticking out of him? Like, did they really need to use 10 swords here? You know, it's sort of like, oh, like, are you wallowing in it a little bit, which is fine to do. Like, I want to let you know if you're going through a rough patch in life, um, sometimes all we can do is wallow in our problems, and that can be, um, it's not necessarily fun to admit this, but sometimes it can feel better to wallow. Not that I necessarily recommend it, but like when you're feeling really down, it's like we want something, so badly, and so we start to wallow in it because we're like pulling it in, and it's like this weird masochistic love hate thing going on. So I don't know if you're I don't know if you're in that right now, or if you've experienced that before, or you've walked through certain situations, but there's definitely something about your shadow self that is really coming through here. And remember, we're talking messages from the tree spirits. I haven't really talked too much about the trees in this reading, but like I said, these could potentially end up being a more general of what you really need to know in this moment. And so the trees are here to support you in this. Um, with the Seven of Swords, this is also that cunning energy. A lot of decks actually depict this as a fox, and so with that energy here, it's this deception. And so maybe you've experienced deception in your life. You've dealt with certain people who are not so great. But one of the other meanings of this card can mean holding your swords close to you, right? So not revealing everything about yourself to others, and sometimes that's called for in life too. And I want you to know that. And so if you're in some kind of tricky situation, dealing with other people especially, maybe there are people surrounding you in your life right now who are not that great for you. Maybe some of the difficult situations that you're going through internally are actually being reflected externally as well. I know that happened for me in my own personal depression when I was the most depressed I've ever been in my life. I was hanging out with not the right people. I was, surrounded by all of this other negative energy that just was like putting me down, and other people's things, other people's stuff was floating around in my head as much as my own personal depression, and you can kind of like add to that cacophony when you surround yourself in that kind of thing, and a lot of times like attracts like. So if we're feeling really down and really low and in this really awful place, we can surround ourselves with people who are in that same um, place. And sometimes if you're working on walking out of it, which I kind of see here with this Two of Wands, which can talk about plans for the future, and the Two of Swords in particular, two twos here, which is interesting. The Two of Swords talks about being at a crossroads, and so I think maybe you're at the point now where you're like, I kind of think now is the time to get better. Maybe you've been wallowing for a while and you're ready to get out of that. Maybe you've felt like you've been down for such a long time, or you've been in a situation that hasn't worked for such a long time, or you've been surrounded by people or situations, or take this as it resonates, whatever it is. For whatever reason, you felt like you've been in it enough, and you're at the point where you just really want to change that pattern. You really want things to become different, and you have the ability to do that, right? But it might take, with this Two of Swords, you might have to walk down a difficult road, right? And this here, holding your swords close to you, you might not be able to talk to your immediate circle about wanting to get out of that, because maybe, like I said, these people don't necessarily have your best interest at heart, depending, as I said, take this as it resonates. I'm not telling you that everyone in your life is terrible, not at all. But really, pay attention to who you're talking about, and if you're trying to talk about, like, if you talk about getting better to someone who you're friends with, and they start putting you down about it, or they start telling you that you can't, or they start bringing up different things, or they feel threatened by it, you know what I mean, where that's like you talk about wanting to get better and they start like taking that as a personal attack on them, any of that kind of thing. If you have any of that going on in your life, this it might be time for you to find somebody who you can talk to who isn't going to feel like that, right? Maybe this is time to start thinking about getting a therapist. I'll say, um, I have seen a therapist at many points in my life, and it's been incredibly helpful. So only if you feel comfortable with doing that, obviously. But finding somebody to talk to about difficult situations in our life can be so deeply helpful. But like I said, if you're really surrounded by people and places and situations that aren't working for you and aren't helping you get better and are actively keeping you down, um, you can't expect those conditions to foster your healing. But that doesn't mean you can't heal. It just means that you might have to go outside of that. You might need to change your surroundings. You might need to walk out of a certain situation. You might need to, and you can take this slow, right? You don't have to do this all at once. It doesn't mean you have to completely throw your life away and change. And no, I'm not telling you that at all. This could be like, finding your own personal um, videos on YouTube that you resonate with. I mean, you're obviously here, so you're kind of following this kind of thing already. But for me, what really helped me when I was in my lowest is I started listening to these gratitude affirmations videos, which are so helpful. By starting to practice gratitude, you start to change your mindset, the way that you think about things, and it allows, you start to instead of looking at things about all the things that are going wrong, you start to see the things in life that are going right for you, and that's how you change. That's how you change your life, with this two of wands energy. That's how you move out of these difficult, complicated energies that aren't working and move into something brighter, is by actively changing your thought patterns, your synapses. You have to, in order to start moving into, to have a mind of somebody who's happy, you have to start thinking about the things that make you happy and letting go of the things that don't. And I don't mean to laugh. I know that sounds simple. It's simple in theory, but the actual practice of actively changing your mind, it takes time and it takes work and it takes effort, right? Um, like I said, I've hit rock bottom from a psychological perspective. I've been as depressed and low as I think that you can get. So I know what it's like to be down in those places, and I did get out of them. But like I said, it took time and it took work and it took a commitment to it, right? It's like I decided I wanted to change, and so then that's where this two of swords comes in. It's making the decision to move down that new path, and you have the ability to do that. The two of wands, you can go in any direction in life that you choose. Whatever you want to make happen in this lifetime, in this reality, you can. The only thing about it is that it doesn't happen as instantaneously as a lot of times we tend to feel as though it should, right? It's like we imagine something and then we want it to exist immediately, and it doesn't work that way. And I don't know if it always doesn't, right? I mean, we hear stories, especially here on these kinds of circles that we're in, watching these YouTube videos about tarot and stuff. It's like we do hear about instantaneous manifestation, and I think that maybe it is possible for some people to do that in a certain way, but for me, I have never found that to be the way that the world works for me personally. It does work for mindset changes. We can have these instantaneous moments where we let in magic and then we start moving in a new way. And I'm not saying that magical, spontaneous things can't happen. Those things that do happen to me, and I move in those directions personally. So I do believe in that. But I think that if we want to fully change our lives and we want to change the directions that we're in, especially if we're in really, really low places, um, that's going to take commitment and it's going to take work. But if you are committed to it, you can 100% move out of it. And it might take a little bit of time, but the more that you commit to it and that you work on it, the easier it gets. And the more, it's all about being present in the moment, right? Um, you're not committing to always being better forever. I can't guarantee that about myself, but I can commit to right here, right now, in this moment, I'm going to make the choices that I need to that are aligned with my own personal integrity to move myself into a better place, right? Or not even, you don't have to use better, sometimes that language isn't helpful of what's good and what's bad, but instead just like I want to be happy. I want to move in a happier direction. And so I'm going to start thinking about the things that I do have in my life that make me happy, as opposed to thinking about all the things that I don't have right now. And so by bringing it back into this moment, you bring into this moment that ability to move into that new perspective. And so you free yourself into um, that ability and then you move out of those really like challenging dark places and you move into those brighter places, into this moment. And so that's where the instantaneous manifestation I think comes in, because it's like you can move yourself in this moment into a bright place in this moment. But when it comes to actively changing your entire life, that takes a succession of moments. And it takes a commitment to continuing to choose to go into those brighter places when you find yourself falling out of it. And so it's like that. Then we're talking now about something called mindfulness, which is where you are actively paying attention to your thoughts, right? In a sense where it's like you don't have to constantly be watching yourself, but you're aware of your thoughts enough to know when you start to veer into these directions that aren't so great. You can kind of catch yourself a little bit and say, "Oh, I see that I'm moving over here." Right, and it becomes where you are the observer of your thoughts. You are not your thoughts, right? So it's like you don't have to identify with the thoughts that are moving through your head. And so if you have challenging and difficult thoughts, if you start thinking about something that you find disturbing, instead of haranguing yourself about having disturbing thoughts and saying like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that, how could anyone think something like that? I must be this horrible, terrible person to have these kinds of thinking patterns and blah blah." Like that's not helping you, because we all have weird, crazy thoughts, and they can pop into our head in so many different ways. You'd be surprised at how much influence the outside world has on your inner thinking, and so you don't have to blame yourself for having certain thoughts. You can just see those, and when they come, you say, I don't, I don't. This isn't helping me. I don't want to be here. Let me think about something else, and you don't have to blame yourself for having those kinds of thoughts. You can come back in and say, okay, self, like this isn't helping me. Let's move into something different, and it's like kind of taking that moment and being there for yourself when you're going through something challenging like that, instead of haranguing yourself for having been through a situation, we got more tarot cards here, so I want to get to them before we can't. Not that there's any real time limit here, but it's just I like to keep these not too terribly long. So we have 3 cards from the Herbal Tarot. We have the Knight of Cups. We have the World. Oh, so beautiful. Oh, wow. And we have the Queen of Pentacles. So these are some really, really, really beautiful things coming in. So, I went off onto this whole tangent here, but I do feel like whatever this challenging cycle has been, I do think it's coming to a close here, right? Or you're in the ability to change and move into a new chapter, because the World talks about graduation, right? It's the graduation card. It's moving forward from something. So to have that come into this reading, it really does tell me that I think that whatever difficult things you've been through, I do think that you're at the point where you are ready to move in a different direction. Clearly, I think that you've done enough work to get yourself to that point, because that doesn't come from nothing. To finally be to be at the world card, that does, like I said, it talks about graduation. So I think that, maybe none of this stuff is very new to you, and maybe this is something you've been working on for a while, and and you're finally at the point where you're ready to move into something different, and with the Queen of Pentacles here, that can talk about this, like, she's this very loving, generous kind of a person. She's always ready to give to others. And so, I think she's coming in though to say that maybe at this point, try to turn some of your giving onto yourself. And I've got some horns beeping outside, so that's real confirmation that this is an important message for you. It's so important for you to give to yourself too. And a lot of times, those of us who really like giving and helping other people, we forget sometimes that we ourselves are people, right? And so it's like, you have to help yourself before you can help others, and that can seem and feel selfish to some of us. I know it used to feel that way for me. Um, but ultimately, you have to think of yourself sort of in the sense of like the world being a giant plane crash, right? Like, and I know that sounds a bit tragic, but our world kind of is a big plane crash, and some of us have come here to try to help people as it all crashes, right? Because there's a lot of opportunity for growth in this as well. More horns outside, so interesting. There's so much opportunity to grow and to help others and to experience beautiful, wonderful, loving kindness, even in difficult and challenging situations like the one we're facing in the world today. But you know, if we think of the world as a plane crash, then we have to remember that in order to assist the oxygen masks of those around us, we must first, by necessity, place that oxygen mask on ourselves first. We have to. If we don't, we're going to pass out, and not only will we not be able to help out those around us, but we will become a burden on those around us as well. And so this is really coming in to remind you that, like, it's okay to help yourself first. It's not too selfish to put yourself on a path of happiness and then bring others on it, right? That's when the Queen of Pentacles is upright and in her most um, positive aspects. It's when she has fully taken care of her own needs and then is able to give on top of that because she's all set. But if she wasn't all set, she wouldn't be able to give anything, and the things that she would give would be deeply, deeply, deeply limited by her own personal ability. All right, and so ultimately, that's kind of what's coming in for that. And then with the Knight of Cups here, the Knight of Cups moves relatively slowly, right? But he is all about movement in the emotional body and moving towards positive emotions. And so I do feel like you have this happiness coming in for you, pile number 3. And this is all open to you. And like I said, I do think you're in a choosing moment right now, but with the world, I think that you have everything ready to walk towards this beautiful, wonderful new day. And that this is an open opportunity for you. And so it might mean, like I said, as we started out with that first card here, it might mean doing some inner work and really exploring some difficult situations within you. But have an open mind and an open heart about all aspects of yourself. Really look at yourself with deep compassion and meet yourself with love. And if you do that, some of these challenging things about you that you might not like right now, you might come to find are some of your most powerful assets in the long run. So now we have the final card comes from the Shamanic Healing Oracle, and it is Truth. Wow. So really, the Truth card is coming in to ask you to truly be in your own personal authenticity. What is your truth? And start asking yourself that. Have you asked yourself that? Have you really looked at what your own personal truth is compared to maybe what other people have told you you need to be? Are you maintaining systems within you that are not authentic to yourself? And are you doing that without even thinking? Is it subconscious? Are you moving through the world in a way that you think you need to versus the way that you truly need to. And so this card is inviting you to look within and to really ask yourself, what is my personal truth? What do I need? Who am I really? What kinds of things does life mean for me? What does a beautiful life mean for me? What does happiness mean to me as a personal individual? Not what other people tell me I'm supposed to want because that's what's supposed to make me happy. What actually makes me happy? And you have an opportunity to do so here, especially with that world card. You're moving into the ability to really, truly look into that for yourself. So anyway, pile number 3, that was my reading for you. I hope that it resonates. If you stuck with me this long, it probably did. Um, so let me know in the comments either way, though. I do love hearing from everybody. If you would like a private reading with me, they are available on the website. You can find that at www.junodrum.com, as well as some music content. Eventually, there'll be my artwork up there as well, and a bunch of other fun things. So anyway, pile number 3, I'm going to leave you there. I hope that this reading really resonated with you, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'll catch you later. See ya. Hi there, pile number 4. Welcome to your reading. So this is going to be your reading for messages from the tree spirits. So we're connecting into the trees today for this reading. Beings of the trees, the forest, spirit, tree spirits. So, yeah, I've done one of these before, like a year and a half ago, and recently had somebody comment on that video, and it reminded me of how wonderful that is to connect in with the trees, and I love the trees. So we're going to be doing this today. You chose the trees with the tent, so potentially for you, going out into nature might be something wonderful for you. We'll get a better reading for you of what the trees want to let you know. But I am thinking a big message might be spending more time in nature, really communing with the trees. Maybe the trees want to speak to you directly, and so are encouraging you to find your nearest forest, park, cityscape with trees to go have a nice little chat, right? Anyway, there's a quote on the back, and it says, "Sleep under the stars." Ooh, so there's some star energy coming in for this reading as well. Some beautiful cosmic trees, right? And the way that the trees interact with the earth, which interacts with the stars, and that whole kind of beautiful interconnected energy scape here. So we'll see exactly what this reading's about. First up, we've got a bunch of tarot and a bunch of oracle cards. We're going to start out with one card from the Fairy Tale Lenormand, and we have the Child. So right away, especially with that tent there too, camping in the woods and child energy, there's some inner child energy coming in here, and it's almost like the trees they're wanting to connect into you, into maybe some childhood memories that you might have, or how you once were, interacting with the wonder of the world. The trees are, maybe you used to commune with the tree spirits as a child, whether you actively remember that or not. Maybe there was a part of you that could really tap into the energy fields of trees, and the trees are coming in to remind you of this, and they really want to talk to you about how you have that ability still, that you have the ability to connect in with the magic that exists in everyday things, and that the spirits of the forest exist in this beautiful interconnected way with you, and you have the ability to connect in with them anytime you want. And there's this opportunity and this offer coming from the tree spirits to really have a moment with them, and and truly reconnect in with nature, because you are nature. We're all nature, every one of us, right? We evolved on this planet. We exist here as members of this earth, and we exist together with the plants and with the animals and with the physical environment. We're all one, and so the trees are coming in to remind you of this. And maybe this is something you knew more as a child intuitively, and for whatever reason, maybe now is an opportunity for you to remember this. Oh, and there's a horn outside, so this is true, This really is, for whatever reason, this moment that you're finding this video, I think this is a timeless reading, whether or not you're catching this as I post it. There is this ability for you to truly tap into the universe and to the physical world around us, this interconnected um, nature that we have with the living world. And there's an opportunity for you in this moment, for whatever reason, to truly tap into that. We have 3 cards from the Herbal Tarot, some more plant tarot coming in here. We have the Nine of Pentacles. That's lovely. We have the Eight of Swords. Interesting. And we have the King of Wands. Okay, wow. So, this is becoming clear. I do think with this Eight of Swords, maybe there's, for whatever reason, you felt a bit stuck. Whether or not it's an active stuck nature at this point in your life, or for whatever reason, there's something blocking. And I think it definitely has to do with this disconnection from nature. You know, there might be some parts that you felt disconnected, maybe from parts of yourself, without really understanding why or what that means. And there's an opportunity for you to reconnect here, and to reconnect to your passions with this King of Wands, who's like this very passionate person, who's deeply driven and follows his creative and interest pursuits. He'll follow the things he would like to do. He follows his heart and creates from it. And so it's almost like maybe you felt blocked from that. Maybe you feel like you've been lacking certain inspiration lately. And so, you know, with the trees themselves, they want to come in to say that you know, you have an opportunity to reconnect to this magic of the world around you, and that might come from going outside and imagining again. You know, going into the storytelling place maybe that you explored as a child. And with the Nine of Pentacles, that's about being in your own private garden. And I feel like that's literal in this sense. You know, going out into the garden, if you have one, or any kind of nature spot, the natural world, the beauty of plants, communing with the plants and with the nature, will bring you this sense of inspiration that you maybe are lacking, that you're looking for. That there is inspiration in the world around you if you learn how to see it. And so there's an opportunity for you to really take a look. The trees want you to know that there's inspiring beauty in the world that surrounds you, and you have the ultimate opportunity to truly tap into this. And that there are, you know, if we do want to commune with entities and spirits, that is possible for you. Now, remember, I think it's important to remember to put up, you know, you can put up boundaries with any kind of entity or spirit or being who wants to commune with you, on the astral plane, or, you know, the idea space, however you want to conceive of it. It happens within our imaginations, but we all of us have the ability to connect with spirits and beings and entities and all of that, however you want to identify with it. Obviously, take this as it resonates. If you don't want to dive into those worlds, you definitely do not have to. But like I was saying, it's okay to put up boundaries, right? You can put out a call to your guides and your angels and your spirits and whatever the team is that's working with you. You can ask for protection in all that you do. You can ask, hey, I call on my spirits and my guides and my team to help keep me and my energy clear from any being or entity who wishes me harm, and I am open to communicating with only those beings who mean me and humanity well, who are not looking to take advantage, but those who are looking to share in the love of the universe. Anything like that, however you want to say it, you can put up those boundaries. But I do feel that there are entities here, you know, especially, you know, speaking about stars as well. You know, I don't know if you know anything about the starseed community or any of that kind of thing, but I feel like there's a few of you in this group as well. You know, I definitely actually am feeling that. But there's this idea of, you know, the spirits of nature, at the very least, elementals, nature elementals maybe even, and tree spirits and ents and fairies and the fae and all of that. You know, it's all here for you to commune with. And I think that there's this sort of sense of really connecting in with that magic, that that magic is open to you if you choose to do so. And remember, like I said, you can put up those boundaries and make sure that you're really only letting in the people you want. But if you want, there's people who want to talk to you, I feel like, which is really fun. So let's take a look here. We've got a couple other cards. Maybe this will be some messages of what they want to say, in particular the tree spirits, but any of these open, beautiful nature beings. We've got the Seven of Wands. We've got the Five of Pentacles. Interesting. And we've got the King of Swords. Okay, so this is a change in the dynamic of the reading, which is always interesting. Like I was saying, what is it they really wanted to say to you, right? As we connect into this energies together, there's a little bit about the dark night of the soul period with this Five of Pentacles that a lot of us do end up going through in the spiritual community, and those of us who become spiritually aware. It's like there's layers that we have to flow through in the esoteric magic communities. Not that I necessarily am a part of those at this point in my life. The Hermetic magic people, they talk about something called the abyss that you have to go through, right? Which is pretty bleak sounding, but it is kind of this dark night of the soul sort of period that a lot of us do end up going through, which is sort of finding ourselves at our personal rock bottoms, and that we have to go to these deep dark places in order to finally overcome, right? And so I think that maybe you've been in those places, especially with this Eight of Swords. Maybe you feel like you're in one of those moments now. I didn't necessarily feel that for you as we started this reading, but it's possible. So either you've already been through this, or you're going through this like deep sense of loss and grief, and it's hard. It's hard to go through these kinds of periods, but it's sort of like sometimes we can allow these difficulties to allow us to change our perspective on life, and that sometimes we don't know the great things that we have in our lives until we lose a lot of things, and then we start to realize that there are things in life to cherish, and that we need to cherish these deeply wonderful things that exist for all of us. In the natural world, there's a little bit of that too. I think we're going through a collective dark night of the soul right now as a society, and maybe that's what they want to talk about a little bit too. Like I said, this is a timeless reading, so depending on when you're catching this is just me talking about the world as it is in this moment. But there's a lot of really difficult and heavy things happening, and it's really challenging. We're going through a collective dark night of the soul. I really do. We're facing our inner darkness, and we're reaching our personal rock bottoms. And I think that, like I said, we have to go through these things in order to really learn how to overcome. And with this Seven of Wands here, it is overcoming. We're still in the fight here. He's still in the battle, but he's on top of it now. He's coming out on the other end. He's lifting off. And a part of how he does that is with this King of Swords here, which is cutting out the things in life that don't work anymore. And so, the nature spirits are really coming in to say, if you are feeling in this difficult situation, if you're going through, the rough parts of things, maybe it is time to cut things out of life. Maybe it is time to release the things that are no longer serving, and really connect into the things that are working, and find the things in life that are going to help you, and let go of people and places and situations that aren't working for you anymore, and find your own light in the darkness. I'm just looking out the window, and there's somebody with a flashlight or some kind of bobbing light going on. It almost looks like the reflection of the candles, but those are over there. So there's sort of this sense I'm feeling of this being the light in the darkness, right? And sometimes that's what we feel like in the spiritual community. Like I said, you don't necessarily have to identify with that, but if you're finding tarot videos on YouTube, you probably feel spiritual in some capacity, and we are all in this together too. That we're not alone in this, and sometimes sometimes it feels, especially in our own personal lives, maybe we do feel so deeply alone. But it's important to remember that there is this guiding light in the darkness, and we are together in this. It's love. It's the interconnected, loving nature of all things that we can tap into. And so there's a bit of a reminder coming through this reading to remember that, even if you feel like everything around you is bleak and dark and isn't working, you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not the only one to have felt these things, and that there is a deep light inside of you guiding you forward. And sometimes we need to be in total darkness in order to finally see that shining light within, right? That in order to finally tune into it, we have to we have to we have to be at the part where we're ready and willing to let go of all of the things that are holding us back. That we're no longer wanting to have these things that have been holding us, these patterns, these ways of thinking, these ways of moving through the world that maybe are not helping us, right? That we can't see. We're finally able to let those things go when we reach the point of this dark night of the soul, because we don't need to hold it anymore, right? We don't. We're at the point where we've exasperated all other options, and we're finally ready to let go, and to let it all go, and to move into something new. I've been there. I've definitely been there. So if you're there right now, let me tell you, um, trust it. Let go. Let go. It's okay. You can let it go, and that there is the universe to catch you on the other side, right? There really is. It's all love. It's all love, even when it doesn't feel like it. It really is. I went off on a big tangent there, channeling all of that, but I think it was important, and hopefully you needed to hear that. So definitely let me know either way. But we have one final card that comes from the Shamanic Healing Oracle, and it's the Death card. Wow. Yeah, so this is a deeply powerful reading. I think that there are things ending in your life, and I think that that's challenging and difficult. I do think that there are, beautiful spirits of nature that are here to meet you. Um, and death can seem scary. It doesn't necessarily mean real death, but it does mean that there is a part of your life that is ending, and a part of your life will begin on the other side of it. But when you're in that end, in death we mourn, and I think that there are real parts that of your life that need mourning, that are leaving, that require you to mourn them, um and that can be really challenging, and it can be really hard. But but when you embrace all that you're feeling, when you embrace everything that you're feeling, and you allow yourself to feel very deeply, you release those feelings. You don't hold them in. And as you do, oh, this is so interesting. I'm just getting in my head. I just got this popping flash, but you know, I went on this huge road trip, camping trip, right about when I was in one of my darkest moments, and and I went to Mount Shasta, and I was camping in Mount Shasta, and I took psychedelics. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that on YouTube, but you don't necessarily have to do that. But it was one of the most profoundly transformational moments that I've had. It was very beautiful, and I was connecting in with the star beings too. So that's kind of like I said. I do feel that celestial energy is here, but there can be something really profoundly transformational about being out in nature. And it was one of these moments where I was accepting my own death, and not that I'm dead, although I don't know, maybe I am. I don't I don't want to get too existential with you, but we don't know what life is. But that's not what I'm trying to talk about. I was accepting the fact that I'm going to die, and that's a tough thing to accept. But in those moments, I saw myself as having been dead for millions of years, and imagining that if we think of ourselves outside of time, if we think about how outside of the universe is also outside of time, that there is a place that exists outside of this universe where where we all have been dead for millions and millions, billions of years, you know? That can be challenging to think about, but it's real. It's real. Um, I don't know what I'm trying to get out of that. I think just that when we think about life from that perspective, you know, what would you do if you fully understood that this lifetime is fleeting, that these moments are fleeting, and not in a way that you have to be afraid of or feel anxiety about not getting things done, but in a way where you can liberate yourself from this sort of sense of never endingness, you know, especially if you're feeling like you're in a difficult situation. Change is the nature of reality. There is no moment that you will live in forever. Even in your darkest moments, those too will pass. Those too will pass. And yes, the most beautiful, brightest moments will also pass. But you know what? More will come, and difficult situations will pass. Maybe other difficult situations will come. But the more that you build into your own life and being that recognition that yes, difficult things happen, but I'm here for myself when they happen, and I know they aren't forever. You become resilient. You become able to grow from a place of that. You know that it's okay that things are difficult and challenging sometimes, because you know what, that's not going to be forever, and I'm resilient, and I know that I am. Yeah, these are all things I tell myself, and those have gotten me through my darkest moments. I can tell you that. Um, really. And yeah, I've had challenging moments since then, but none of them have been quite as difficult because I know that I can make it through, you know? I know I can get through anything. And even on days where I'm having bad days now, I none of them are as bad as the days I've been in, you know? And I can't guarantee that I won't have bad days in the future, but I can guarantee that I know how to meet myself while I'm there. And I feel like that's a part of where you might be right now. And so be open to it. Be open to all of it. Be open to life. Be open to wherever you are in this moment. That's enough. You know that you are enough right here, right now, in this moment. You don't have to be anything else. You don't have to do anything else. You can just be, and that's okay. That's enough. So anyway, pile number 4, I'm going to leave you there. I hope that this resonated. We kind of went on a wildly different tone halfway through the reading, so I hope that's okay, and I hope that it all resonated with you. Let me know in the comments what you think either way. I love hearing from everybody. If you would like a private reading with me, they are available on the website. You can find that at www.junodrome.com, as well as some of my musical content. Eventually, I'm going to be posting all of my art there as well. And sort of Junodrome, the larger Junodrome, is a collection of my artistic work, basically, and sort of my larger artistic project. And eventually, I'll be releasing music under that name and all sorts of different things. So there's a lot to come from Junodrome. So be open to that as well if you want. Don't if you don't. It's all up to you. So anyway, pile number 4, I'm going to leave you there. I hope you have a wonderful day. This was a great reading. It was really nice to talk about all this stuff. So I hope that you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day, pile number 4. I'll see you soon. Bye.